right, what's up, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the third episode, installment. I don't know. It's the third interview we've done here at the school.
I like installment. It feels very academic.
It's the third installment. So what we do here, we wanted to have like this thing where we bring in people that work in music, have had a career in it, and sort of their point of view on how that all works. We've got Sara Hauser here.
Pageant wave.
She's a songwriter, session player, arranger, producer, educator. She's played with multiple acts as well as her own. SL Hauser. Welcome. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So, my first question here, we're just going to get started.
Okay. I'm ready.
What got you into music when you were a kid? What was the first thing that you heard when the bell went off into your head and you were like, this is something that I would want to do?
Okay. Well, the something that I would want to do thing came a lot later, but I will say that I had two parents that were big fans of music.
Yeah.
And had huge CD collections, and I listened to the radio a lot, and they took me to, I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, and we went to, there was a Jacksonville Jazz Festival. Mm-hmm. So my parents took me to that every year. So I was like, and there was like live bands at like the downtown, like the Landing, like where we would go. So I feel like I was kind of around music a lot.
Did any like national acts come through?
Oh yeah, the Jacksonville Jazz Festival. Like I saw, I'm like pretty sure I saw Pat Metheny there, like at a really young age.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw John Denver.
That's awesome.
He huge artists that I had no concept of. And, And like truthfully, I was like running around karate chopping something. Like I was like a tiny kid, but I do have memories of like experiencing live music and like what that felt like sensory wise, like as a little kid. But I think I was really. And I listened to like my mom and dad's CD collection. Like I loved the process of pulling the CD drawer out and like pulling CDs and putting them in the player. And like, so I think I was thinking about music a lot before I really had a concept of like what it was.
Did you have the big CD book?
I did later. Yeah. Like in my Outback in high school, like I had like the full binder of things. But I think when, I think I started to notice, like, I remember knowing all the words to, like, every song on the radio.
Yeah.
And, like, having my friend's mom be like, how do you know all of these words? Like, I started to have some self-awareness of, like, oh, I pay attention to this stuff, like, a lot.
Yeah.
And then my parents got me a keyboard when I was 7, but were really hands-off about it. And just kind of let me, like, mess around on it. And I didn't take lessons till a lot later. But yeah, so I just think I remember music being very present in my life from a very young age. Church and like classical music of that, like the church we went to was very, it was like basically like Catholic traditional. It was Episcopalian, but it was like the music was all in Latin. It was pipe organ. There was incense. Like it was a full kind of like experience. Like I didn't really understand what was happening. I just knew that like it made me feel something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just like a big part of my life when I was really young.
Do you remember like your first like real show, like your first real concert that you went to?
Where I actively sought out going to the concert, or just like that I remember?
Yeah.
This is embarrassing, but the first like big concert.
Mine's probably more embarrassing.
I don't know, man. My first actively getting a ticket and going to the show experience was 98 Degrees.
Yes.
Which was a boy band in the early 2000s.
Yes.
I think I saw NSYNC fairly shortly after that, but I had been to many concerts, arguably probably cooler street cred wise artists that my parents had exposed me to that I just couldn't care about. But I remember, like, you know, those were the days where you had to like get on the phone and wait on the phone to get tickets to go to the convention center. It was 98 Degrees. And that was like the first like crazy hyper produced like experience that I think I had.
Mine was Smash Mouth, Third Eye Blind.
See, that's cooler. That's like way instantly cooler. They're like actually playing instruments. I remember like my parents had made me watch Spinal Tap a lot, like as a kid, like before I was really even into music. And there was literally a moment at the 98 Degrees show where they were in the pods. I remember and I thought they were making a Spinal Tap joke. And none of my friends, I was like, 11, and I was like, you guys seen Spinal Tap? Like, are they doing a bit up there? And everyone was like, what are you talking about?
They were serious.
They were serious. They were coming out of pods.
I wonder what that's.
I don't even remember what the song was.
I wonder what the symbolism of that was.
Who knows?
So you did and eventually take lessons, like
I did. 11 when I started formal lessons.
And that was like piano.
Yeah, I had started. I'd sort of accidentally taught myself how to read music with a book that my parents had got me when they got me a keyboard. It was like a Disney book or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we moved to South Carolina, and the story that I was told, I never remember it happening. I was 11, but we went to a church service, and the piano player was like, I just remember watching her perform, and she was just really like into playing and was really good. And I went up to her like immediately after the service and signed myself up for lessons. And when we left church, I was like, oh, by the way, I'm taking piano lessons now. And my mom and dad were like, what? Okay. And so, like, going into lessons, I already could play by ear and read. I knew a little bit. So I sort of fast-tracked the first year of lessons. Like, I kind of jumped from point A to point F.
That's awesome. Yeah, like, from paying attention to those things that you were kind of paying attention to before. That's rad.
Yeah. And I had a really cool teacher who was, like, she introduced me to the classical world, but, like, my gateway into lessons was like, I just want to learn how to play Torn by Natalie Imbruglia. Like I didn't, and like I had the Titanic sheet music book. Like I wasn't super entrenched in classical, but she was like, well, this, you could do all this stuff if you can already do this stuff, But she was very open, which I felt like I carried with me when I became a teacher too.
Did you ever learn how to play Torn?
Yeah, I had the book. Yeah. And I that was sort of like I had sang at that point, but I hadn't married playing and singing at the same time. And she was really encouraging of that too.
Were you messing around with the guitar at all too around
Not
this
until
time?
way later. Not until high school. My mom played guitar, so like it was around, but like I wasn't really interested in it until high school.
Yeah. So like, when you got to high school, like what were kind of the things you were getting into around then as far as like finding your own tastes in music and stuff and like learning, I don't know, like when did that happen when you were like, I want to start messing around with the guitar and playing keys too? And, like, were you writing songs around then? My first was I was writing parodies. Like I wrote parodies of songs before I really had a concept of songwriting, but there were a couple of things that were pretty influential. Like my mom was a songwriter, and she was really active in getting me to like think about songs. Like when I'd sing all the words, she'd like ask me what I thought the song meant. Like she'd get me to kind of like turn on the analytical part of my brain and like actively listen, which was huge. Yeah.
And she kind of showed me like song form and like talk about rhyme scheme and stuff. And so I started writing songs when I was like 13 or 14. But at the same time, I got into a public school that was a performing arts school. I auditioned on piano and got in for piano. And at that school, I was in class for piano every day for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And that got me into, so I was like very in classical, but I also had a jazz teacher. So I was doing like classical, it was this block schedule. So it was like classical A days, jazz B days. And then I got into jazz band in high school. So I was like learning jazz theory while I was starting to write songs. And jazz theory is like 80% chords, especially for piano players. So it really kind of like, it was basically like I had an interest, and then my education was like fueling that interest, because I could all of a sudden like write, I could put together chord progressions and like melody, and I was learning how to read chord charts and like all of this like practical applicable knowledge, and at the same time was like performing in jazz combos at restaurants, learning to like be that version of myself. So it really like kind of spearheaded my like doing that and like making that my life, I guess.
That's awesome. Did you start forming like any sort of a band or like any aspirations to do that when you were in high school?
I did. It wasn't until, I think it was, again, I mean, I was so lucky in terms of like my teachers, but like I had my classical teacher, my mom let it slip that I was writing songs, and told my teacher. And my teacher in class one day was like, "Hey, I want to hear like what you're writing." Songs. And I was like hardcore Tori Amos, Fiona Apple, so I was just like, you know, playing all kinds of stuff, singing about heartbreak that I didn't even know. I don't think a boy had even looked at me at that point in my life, but I was like, and he's in the hole. Yeah. But so she had me play in front of the class, and I think when I got that reaction of like showing somebody my song, I was like, oh man, this is kind of fun. And then my jazz band teacher, we used to do these big like concerts every year. It was because we were performing arts school, we didn't have sports, so like the jazz band was like the sports team, which sounds ridiculous, but so we had this big like concert every year called Jump, Dive, and Wail. And one year he was like, hey, I think you should work on one of your songs with the rhythm section of the jazz band, and you guys should play the interlude of this concert. Yeah. And it was like the first time I had taken my songs to other musicians, and also like musicians my age, like that we were all peers and stuff. And so we performed there, and then I sort of put together a band with those people after that. And we didn't gig, but I played like the Battle of the Bands in my high school. Yeah. You know, like things that were very safe. And stuff, but stayed really, really like into songwriting, and you know, I shared stuff with like my English teachers were super and like helpful, and like realized that I was like a huge lyric nerd, and you know, turned me on to Dylan and made me read Leonard Cohen lyrics and you know all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I was in like a very nurtured environment in that way.
That's great. That's awesome. Did you ever record any of these songs?
Oh God, yeah. I have the cassette tape of the first song I ever wrote. My mom had like a little Tascam thing.
The 4-track.
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah. I think the first song I ever wrote is called "I Want to Write a Song." Also, I haven't listened to it because I'm just terrified. But yeah, I recorded some stuff. My mom, she had a friend that had a studio. His wife taught me vocal lessons a little bit, so I recorded there. My mom also won a lyric writing contest in the American Songwriter magazine, and her prize was that she got to go to Nashville and actually demo the song with like Nashville studio musicians and stuff. And you know, like to her credit, they did the demo of the song, and we had extra time, and she was like, "My daughter's got a bunch of songs, let's record them." And so I went with her. And basically, like, she just, like, did a wham-bam demo of the song that she won for. And then, like, they set up room mics, and, like, I recorded a bunch of stuff on piano and vocals. And that was, like, you know, it was like a little house in the middle of Nashville. But it was, like,
that's still incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Great job, Eva. Love you.
Did they sound great?
No.
No.
I mean, no. I remember the first time I heard my voice back, because like I think when I first started recording, I hadn't really ever taken. I did like choir as a kid, but I hadn't really taken a lot of vocal lessons. And
were you kind of singing like choir style?
I wasn't singing choir, but I was like really pitchy, and I didn't know, and I wasn't that great. I was trying to record a song on guitar, and I just started taking guitar, and you could hear every buzz and like every like I couldn't really do the chords right, and I think you know like. When you record yourself, it's ultimately like the most you learn the most about yourself because it's like a magnifying glass to everything that you need to work on. Yeah. And so like I just was like, oh my God, what is pitchiness? Like why can't I play guitar? It sounds so great when I'm playing by myself in my room. And like so yeah, it sounded bad. But then I took vocal lessons after that and it really helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So with all of the different things that you do, like solo artist, session musician, college professor, string arranger, all that stuff, when you're in a room with non-musicians and they ask you what you do, like how do you synthesize all of that without sounding like you're reading a massive resume? Like what do you tell people you do?
I feel like a lot of musicians have this. Maybe you do, or you guys do when you talk. But I have like sort of like the tiered system when people ask me about what I do. Or the first thing I say is I'm a musician, and then they're like, "Oh, cool!" Like, and then based on their response, I can tell whether or not they may be able to follow like the actual details of my life. Because sometimes it's like, "Oh yeah, rock and roll," like blah blah. Yeah, it's not that. So I generally just say that I'm a musician, and then like if that leads to more questions, generally the next question is like, are you able to pay for your life doing that in some form?
Yeah.
And so, or like, how do you support yourself? Is that your only job? That kind of thing. And I think that's sort of where my spiciness maybe kicks in a little bit, where I'm like, actually, I do support myself, and this is like all the ways in which I make music my life.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and or talk about, you know, the teaching and just like all the random work. But generally, I just tell people I'm a musician, and then kind of see where that goes from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So like you're involved with a bunch of different projects in your own. One of the things that I wanted to ask was being involved with so many projects. Does that ever present a challenge when you finally sit down to work on your own material?
Yes, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I think I spent a lot of the last couple years working for, like, touring for and working for other people. And I don't think, until I really stepped back from all of that and sort of actively chose my own stuff, I didn't realize like how much creatively like I was just burnt. So yeah, there is like a tax. I will say that creativity is just important to me. So like if it's working on somebody else's record, it's great. I love it. But I think I didn't realize that like how much I had taken time away from my own writing, I think. So it's definitely, and some of it is, you know, it's like with any job, you have to prioritize what's helping you pay for your life and pay for the bills. My expectations with my original music at this point are pretty low, like in terms of like being able to pay my bills. Yeah. But I also know that like for my quality of life, I will always do it. And I need to, it's how I process the world. I have to have somewhere to put all of the things that I'm feeling and thinking. And so I think at this point in my life, I'm like, okay, I know how to compartmentalize, like, okay, well, I need to do these things to make rent and pay my bills and like eat and do all those things. But like, I also know where I need to like cap that so that I can do all the other things. Cause like my writing is my investment in myself. And I know that like, when I have the time and energy to put it into that, I get a lot out of it. So but it's hard. It's a hard balance. Yeah. It was especially hard when I first started teaching too. Yeah. Teaching zapped. When I was like all in, it like really zapped a huge part of like, I don't want to teach 7 lessons and go home and write a song. Like I want to like go for a run or like turn on the TV or like not think about anything I just did for the last 7 hours. Yeah,
I always say I'm musiced out.
Yeah. Since like I don't think I really had a concept of like what auditory fatigue was until it was like, oh my God, I've been like, you know, especially when you're in like certain instances, you're kind of like learning a music on the fly to show a student, and like that kind of like on with your brain is so intense that like it can be exhausting.
Yeah,
for sure.
So throughout like high school, and you were, you know, like those are actually some pretty unique experiences with recording and being able to be exposed to all of that really awesome kind of experience. But when did you really start taking it's like, was there a moment where you were like, okay, I think I'm going to do this?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go all in. And because I know it's kind of like, it's weird because I feel like,
where's the jump?
Yeah, but I feel like those things, I don't know. I don't think there's necessarily, at least for me, there wasn't a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to be a professional musician. It just sort of like, next thing you know, it's sort of, you're just doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but was there a moment like that for you?
I think identity-wise, I didn't see music as like, I mean, I think certainly when I started songwriting and like really getting into music and really feeling like, oh, music was sort of the first thing that I felt like was truly mine and that like I was good at. Like I had, you know, I think I was one of those kids in high school that like, I was like an ocean lifeguard all summer, like a very like on swim team, and kind of could hang in that athletic world or active world. And I was also a huge English nerd, and like very like into school, like book, you know, kind of like academia.
Yeah.
And then I was like really into music. And so like I think I didn't feel like any one of those things was my identity. And truthfully, I wasn't going to go to college for music until I think it was like maybe junior year. I wanted to go to school to be a writer. And then I sort of had this realization of like, oh, I can get a scholarship with piano. Like I've got a resume of piano. I did classical competitions and like all the things that could get you a scholarship. And then my mom took me and we did a tour of Berkeley. I think it was like my junior or senior year of high school. And the concept of being able to go to school and I knew I didn't want to do the classical thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go to school for jazz. And in the, you know, world, it was like the seas parted, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, there's a school where I could go and learn the modern music industry. And that was Berkeley, and I ended up getting a scholarship. So I think when I got the scholarship to go to Berkeley was when I was like, oh, okay, I can like, this is my thing. Like I can do this.
Yeah.
And like, I want to do this. I started thinking about leaving high school and like not having piano as a huge part of my academic life. I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I had been in school for piano since I was 12. So I was, you know, it was just like a part of my everyday. So I really wanted to continue to study. And I think that was when I was like, oh, this is the thing I've been interested in the longest. So
it solidified it going to...
Solidified it. I didn't feel like a professional musician, like professional working musician, until I was probably like 28, 29.
Yeah.
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 Took a little while. I was a wild card when I moved here.
Yeah.
I mean, I basically like got out of school of music for music and was like, I never want to play piano again. I want to play guitar. And I joined a bunch of rock bands and did that through my 20s. And it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did your songwriting process usually look like? Are you a lyrics first or a music first person?
It's kind of like...
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. You mean like in terms of starting lyrics first or music first or chords first or like...
Yeah.
Do you mean like literal process? Yeah.
Yeah, like...
I kind of come at it from all sides, truthfully, at this point.
You try different things every time. Yeah,
it depends on kind of my mode. Like the album I've been working on is... I did the artist way.
Did you do the morning pages?
I did the morning pages. And I think when I was doing that, the concept of holding creative office hours for myself, as especially coming out of, like we were talking about, like a little bit of burnout. Yeah. And just needing to rethink the machine a little bit. So what I started doing for this album was I just was like, I'm going to sit down and play piano, not even try to sing or write for an hour every day. Like just make kind of like stream of conscious playing, really. And what I ended up doing was like writing piano music, demoing it, recording it, and then going back and adding melody and lyrics on top of it, which is sort of the first time. Usually it's like all in one. I'm playing and singing at the same time because the intent is that I'm going to play and sing at the same time. So this was the first time I sort of let myself free associate and I think a little bit more outside of the normal pop form box and then come back in with the lyrical and melodic stuff. But I also come up with melodies and lyrics. I've written whole songs on the drive to work in my voice memo thing and then gone back in and kind of reverse engineered them from that. Sometimes it's words first, sometimes it's melody. But at this point, I'm kind of coming at it however it shows up in my life.
Did you stick to the artist way?
I'd finished it.
You finished it?
Yes. Which
It's kind of hard.
It's hard, yeah. And I think there were aspects of it that didn't really resonate with me.
Yeah.
But I also read it at, a time in my life where I was having some like real reckonings with life and I needed structure.
Do you guys know about the artist way? Yeah. It's a book.
It's been around since like the 80s.
Yeah.
It's basically like the woman that wrote it is a screenwriter, and it's not a book specific to music or songwriting or anything. It's a book that's about your creative process and about holding yourself accountable as a creative, and sort of her big thing is treating your creativity like spiritually, almost like nurturing it and it being so she. I think the things that I took away from the book that I found really helpful was the concept of creative input and output, which is like you have to feed this thing in order to make a thing. I think that sort of changed. It's like the one thing she encourages is to take yourself on artist dates, which is like going to a museum by yourself and walking around for an hour, or go to a play or listen to an album without doing anything else, like active listening, all kinds of things like that. That I feel like were all things that I just taken for granted because I'm so, music and art and stuff is naturally a part of my life, but you start to become desensitized to it a little bit when you're like 100%, around it all the time, and it starts to become less special. And when it's less special, then like, your output is going to suffer from that because you're not like treating it well.
Yeah, I think
so. Yes, I did finish it.
Yeah. But do you still do the boring pages?
I took a break. I took a break. I was really hard in the paint on the morning pages, and then I moved, and like life things happened where I was just like, I don't want to do.
I was pretty. I was like pretty hard in it when I was doing it, and then I was, and then I would go back and pilfer. They say you're not supposed to read them for the first.
Yeah.
Oh, the morning pages is basically, which I think this is a great thing, even if you're not fully doing the Artist's Way book. It's you write down 3 pages, no matter what, every single morning. The minute you wake up, it's just stream of conscious writing, and the whole thing is you're writing with the intention that nobody's ever going to read this. Like it's not for anything specific.
No filter, no editor.
No filter, nothing. And you're just free writing. And even if you're stuck, I used to just write, and then like the book, I think it says that. And then you just eventually something comes to your head, and then you keep going. But
it's more, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more about just getting into spending the time regularly writing. You don't have to write anything important, but the idea that
Yeah, every single day.
And I think it also, for me, it also gets my brain in word idea mode, like immediately. Like the rest of when I'm doing that, and even when I did the morning pages before I knew what that was. Like I was always a journaler in high school and college and stuff. But it gets you. I get way more lyrical inspiration when I'm doing the journaling every day, just because I think I'm thinking about phrasing and words and like the rhythm of phrases and stuff like that, and then I'm more likely to be walking around like, oh, that's a cool phrase or whatever.
Yeah,
it gets my brain in word mode. For sure.
Yeah, that's great. Speaking of, so with your solo work,
Yes.
let's see, when you're working on like your last record, there's a lot of space, like in kinds of
On
things.
Hibiscus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For any up and coming musicians, songwriters in here, what is your, what would be the word? I don't want to say tip, but what is your suggestion for like leaving space and not needing to fill every single kind of second of a song with a bunch of things, like as far as like being subtractive rather than full on, you know what I mean?
I think one thing that happens with all young writers, and I mean that in terms of like you're first starting, is that like you really are very precious with your ideas, and sometimes that can make you want to cram every idea you have into one song. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes the idea is an entirely new song. And so I think for me, when it comes to, I think space is a really powerful tool in a song. But I think advice that I have regarding that is sort of, allow yourself the opportunity to step back and ask yourself, is this idea actually serving the song? Or is this idea, could this be something else? And if you take that and put it somewhere else, do I need to fill that space with anything? Or can it just sort of exist? And I think that has always done good things for me, because it makes me feel like, okay, well, like if I want to do something with this idea, I can. It's in this little box over here. And it doesn't mean that what I am working on is less than. I think in a lot of times it can kind of help really streamline your idea or whatever you're trying to say, is by not crowding it.
I think the idea of serving the song is sometimes you don't learn that immediately.
No.
It is.
There's a lot of ego with writing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your brainchild. You want to. I think I went through a phase where I really wanted to like flex in my songs and be like, oh, I can play. I'm doing a cool thing here, or I can play or whatever. And I'm definitely not interested in that anymore. But it's I'm more interested. The people that I like that are artists that I really gravitate towards, there's a lot of space in the songs, and there's a lot of room for ambiguity in the song, but I think having the patience to like step back and like eagle eye your own song, that and like serving the song is.
Have you ever been in well, I'm sure you have, in a band where there's multiple songwriters?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, well, we'll get to that part. How do you decide when a song is done?
What I have been trying to do, and I have historically in my life not been very good at rewrites or going back and thinking about a song, but I will say that this batch of songs that I have been working with is probably the most rewriting I've ever done. But I've been really trying to really identify which part of a song annoys the crap out of me, and then fixing, like really trying to fix it, like of saying, And I think for me, the last couple years, that's when I feel like the song is done. When there's not a part of the song that this something just
cringe.
Doesn't fit this, or it not necessarily cringe, but like just something is like that's not like true to me. Like there's something that's like it just doesn't sit with me. So I think that's when I feel okay about it. Is when like, oh, okay, I came at this intentionally. I fixed the thing that didn't really sit with me. So I think I do the initial right, which is very generally like emotional about it, even if it's not like something personal to me. And then when I have some time, I can kind of zoom out and be like, I hate that bridge, or I hate that chord progression.
Yeah.
Or the chorus to the song sucks.
Well, so as writing songs, how do you walk that tightrope of writing a lyric that is very personal while keeping it abstract or wide enough that a total stranger can relate to it, or does that even matter to you?
That's a great question. I think it depends on the songs sometimes. I have songs that are intentionally abstract because they are deeply personal, and I don't really care if anybody understands them or not, because I wrote them for me.
Yeah.
But I think that if my intent of the song, well, I mean, even for instance, like my album is deeply personal. Most of my music comes from a pretty emotional place. But I think with this one, my one caveat with myself was that I want these songs, I want there to still be a message that resonates. And so I will manipulate lyrics or something to more kind of serve the song in that way in this batch. And there are certainly moments that are intentionally abstract because like it was like too close to home or something, know? But I don't know. I think like the whole thing about music is connection, really, and vulnerability. And I think that connection really comes from vulnerability. And I think I just sort of leaned into the like, okay, maybe somebody will never know exactly how I feel here, but somebody will be able to take this concept or this feeling that I've put into this and take something for themselves away from it. So like in terms of having somebody literally understand what I'm talking about, I'm not interested in that. But as long as they're like, oh, this made me feel something, even if it's totally different from what I felt, I just want to make somebody feel something. So that's, I don't know if that makes sense, but.
So let's see. So when did you move to Austin?
2009, fall of 2009. I graduated from college spring, and then I moved here 4 months later.
Yeah. What was your view of the city then, as opposed to now?
Oh man. Well, I came and visited during South by. It was like spring break of my senior year.
Yeah.
And because I knew I didn't want to go to LA or New York after college.
Where were you? So did you live in Charleston?
I went to high school in Charleston and then Boston for Berkeley.
Yeah.
And then after Berkeley, they really encourage you to go to a music city, LA, Nashville, New York. I didn't like Nashville at all as a city. I didn't want to stay in the Northeast because I hate the cold. And LA felt like another planet to me, being an East Coast kid at the time. So I came to visit Austin during spring South by and like had a great time. Was really excited about it being sort of the antithesis of my college experience, of it just being kind of a little punk rock and like wild and affordable.
Yeah.
And at the time, that's probably the biggest difference is like in 2009, I mean, I got a really sick apartment for like $700 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it was so cheap compared to Boston too. But yeah, so that was sort of how I somersaulted and ended up here. And I feel like I just, it's crazy to me that I've been here this long, truthfully. I don't think I envisioned myself staying here forever, but I built a life and, and ended up kind of having some roots established here, I feel like. So yeah, but it definitely feels wildly different. But some of that is my age too. I mean, I'm just not 22 anymore.
Yeah. Do you think that the soul of the Austin music ecosystem has shifted since we've gotten older?
Yes, but I will say I just had a really long conversation with a friend who lives and works in LA and has since we graduated college. And I think what I'm feeling happening in Austin is happening everywhere. I think it's indicative of a music industry that has like morphed into something wildly different than when we came up.
Yeah.
You have to do everything. I think it's the most expensive it's ever been to be a musician. Mm-hmm. Venues are struggling. There's a lot of monopolies out there. Streaming has robbed us blind of a lot of income. So I think that, I think priorities are shifting out of survival, out of like, okay, like we're trying to like rethink the wheel while the whole cart is still moving. Like it's kind of this crazy situation,
Having to navigate.
Yeah.
Just like even getting to be just a little drop in the giant lake ocean.
Totally.
With having to do all the like, hey guys, so
yeah. It's like our options are have a viral moment, or I mean that feels like it's like the only thing right now.
Yeah, it's weird because it used to just be like you go out and tour.
Yeah.
Or or you hopefully get on a support tour, and which is still, I feel like, sort of an option for some types. I feel like for punk bands that's still kind of a thing, but I could see.
Do you feel like the touring stuff is still sustainable for punk, like because it's like more of a live music?
I think it depends. I mean, like, at least with Gamblers, we go out and do these little tiny runs now. Like we'll try to like be as cost efficient as possible.
Like you're not out for like 6 weeks at a time.
No.
Yeah.
We'll go out for like a week and we make sure that we make it count.
Yeah.
And like hopefully that we're got a homie with a van in Chicago and an opening band that'll let us use all of their gear, and then we'll hit all of these cities and then come back with a little bit, and we've been kind of working it that way.
Yeah.
I think that there's maybe like ways to do it. I think if we were to just go out and, I don't know, we don't have a new record that we're about to work on a new record pretty soon, but I think maybe I could see it being harder for like, I don't know, like sort of like more indie kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, like my experience with touring is mostly touring for other people who have like established fan bases, and so, but my experience with that is a little different than like trying to tour my own stuff.
Yeah,
but it was like, I mean, I think in the wake of streaming, there was like, oh, okay, well, we can still make money from live shows and touring and merch and stuff. And then it was like that part started to die. So it's like, okay, well, so now we're making less money and touring is the most expensive it's ever been. You have bands like Garbage coming out saying they can't afford to tour. So like, of course, I'm not even going to try. Like I'm not in a position to be in the hole. But so that part is, and then now we have, the upcoming AI stuff with like, which I feel like is just going to wreck sync stuff, which sync licensing is like was like the one other thing we could make money from is like, please just give me one Samsung commercial and I can live for 40 years or something,
They write something on Suno.
Yeah. Well, now you can write me a song with the word Maybelline that sounds like Michael Bublé, but sung by a woman. And it's like, and honestly, it's probably not that bad. like, but yeah, so I feel like all of the ways that we've been able to like generate money from original music is just, it gets becoming narrower and narrower, and the market is very, very saturated. There's so many, of us like putting stuff out there, and that's great and stuff. But yeah, so I guess this is all to say, I think, and also venues, like I said, our venues are suffering. They're getting bought out by whoever, and it's expensive to keep them up, and so it's tough. I mean, I have never made less money as a live performing musician, truthfully, than I have right now.
Yeah.
And that's been like a hard, oh wow, like a reality check of like, okay, I cannot rely on playing a good show for money, know. But we also have grants, and the city is doing things, I think, and making moves to
help
find ways to alleviate that,
Yeah.
So
that's actually coming up here in one of my little list of questions here. What were some of those early venues that you remember playing, and what were some of your, and at least now, like, what are some of your favorites that are still around? Like,
early memories, I really loved, like, the first show I ever played was Momo's.
Wow. Yeah.
Which was like a cool spot. I played at the Ghost Room, which was a cool venue.
I remember that place.
Pretty sure I want to say I saw somebody cool there too. I got to go to the original Emos before I was gone. There were definitely some, I played at Antone's in like all of its different locations.
It's crazy how many.
It's moved like 3 times since I lived here. So yeah, I the original Cheer Up Charlie's, loved playing that, like on the east side, playing inside there was like so sweaty and fun, and tiny. I loved all of them. All right, what was the second half of that question?
Oh, like what are some of your favorite places to play today?
Hole in the Wall is still so fun.
I love it.
To me, I think Hole in the Wall is a really special place. I've really loved the 04 Center for like a newer venue. I've played some solo shows there. It's in a church.
Oh yeah.
It's like but I went to go see Madison Cunningham there, and it was just like, the acoustics in the room are great. The vibe is great. It's like a listening room. I'd say 04 Center and Monks are my 2 favorite. Monks is a jazz club, but I think it's really unique. And having played a lot of shows where like you have the tender moment and all you can hear is how many people are talking during your set, it's really special to like have places like Monks in the 04 Center where it's a listening room. Like people are there
I like this subtle, they have like this subtle reminders everywhere to like be quiet.
Yeah. to just be present and like watch the thing you paid to go see. Whereas like, otherwise you're playing like in a place to essentially keep people drinking in a bar where like everyone's just talking, it's just fine. Like I don't expect every show to be like a quiet, like 100% attentive kind of situation. But I'd say those 2 are 2 of my favorite like newer venues for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. When you first, when you first moved here, I think a lot of music kind of, I don't know, I don't really understand if there's like industry courses with teaching people to network via like LinkedIn or industry panels or whatever. But when you first arrived here, what was the thing that you did to meet other musicians?
I got a job in the service industry. I got a job at Guero's bartending 2 weeks into living in Austin, and half the staff were musicians, which was great. And outside of that was like meeting them, and then going to shows. Like I just went to shows all the time, and I'd see a band that was doing something that I thought was cool and hit them up once I got a project together about playing a bill together. Or it was like I leaned on my coworkers that new people in those bands to be like, hey, Sarah just moved here. She's a musician, blah, 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 blah. But I really relied on community to like build a network of
I
people.
think going to shows and
Going to shows is huge.
Nobody's going to know that you're there if you're not there, you know.
100%.
If you want to write a lot, you have to read a lot. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You have
Yeah.
to be exposed. And if you love music, like, get off the couch.
I have that conversation with students all the time where they're like, oh, I just like, I can't, I don't have any lyrical inspiration. And I'm like, when's the last time you read a book? And they're like, but, or it's like the same with a band. They're like, I don't know I don't know what I want to sound like. And I'm like, when's the last time you went to go see a show? Like all that stuff is so informative, you know?
Yeah. That kind of leads into my next area of questions here. So you have worked with a lot of different artists. How does that normally come about for you? I know it's because you've been around and played in different projects and things like that. Can you tell these fine people some of the things that you have done?
Sure. I did a lot of touring work. I sort of somersaulted into that via Golden Dawn Orchestra, which I actually toured with them on vibraphone, which is laid out like a piano, but it is like a giant xylophone. So like I got that job because I could play piano. I played vibes a little bit in jazz band in high school, but like I didn't know what I was doing. Similarly, like that was sort of my gateway into touring. Session work is like, you know, getting hired to record on other people's albums. And I worked with my friend Walker and like weirdly working with him, met Jim Eno from Spoon. And then like my second session work in Austin was recording on the Spoon album, Hot Thoughts. And like once I had that on my resume, it was like huge because they're like arguably one of the biggest bands out of Austin.
Yeah.
And so and I think that was when I started doing background vocal session work, and I think I realized that I liked doing it and I was really good at it, and I then that sort of trickled into getting asked to do it a number of other ways, and then it just became sort of this self-perpetuating thing where like my resume just got bigger and bigger.
I feel like once people know that you do that, it's the same thing with touring. It's like once you kind of do that and you know, like you do a tour or, you know, you start doing it and people are like, oh,
yeah,
like,
oh, she can do that.
Yeah,
or,
they'll go out and do this for not a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, and like, I mean, it's also like the art of the hang too. Like, I mean, I think just like being an easy, like the Venn diagram for like so much music work is like capable, easy to work with, efficient, good communicator, you know, and like things that are not inherently based on my skill as a musician. I know that there are like much better players and singers and stuff in this town, but I think like you work with enough people, it's like, and it's when I'm judging of who I want to work with, I'm like, okay, like how many bands have they been kicked out of, you know?
Yeah.
Or like what, like I want to know, because like sort of like what I'm getting into, it's it's social currency. So.
I feel like that's, you know, it's like 80% of it. I mean, I would much rather have somebody who can play the songs and is a really good hang rather than some like virtuoso drummer and is
who's
just horrible to be in a van with, you know. Like I've had that, you know. I'm sure you've been around people like that too.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so. I can't remember if sometimes I start answering your questions and I'm not entirely sure if I actually answered them.
It's okay. When you walk into a room to play on someone else's record, what are some of the unwritten rules of like etiquette when you're doing that? How does that like, what are your, when you walk in, you know, like usually, I don't know, I'm sure it's case by case some people probably have something that they want you to do exactly, or maybe some people are just like,
have fun,
go for it.
I mean, I will say that like I am a perpetual room scanner, hypervigilant person. Like I feel like I'm constantly reading people's micro expressions or like what vibe checking constantly. So I feel like I do a lot of that kind of naturally, but I can tell when somebody's going to give me really specific feedback. Versus when somebody is like kind of just throwing noodles at the wall to see what sticks. And so I try to get that vibe from the producer or the artist before I start to like really go, hey, you know, if you wanted me to, I could do this other weird thing here or whatever. So I generally almost always go in really open, and I think the most important thing is to just listen and sort of like I like to observe what my role actually is, because I think you can get a vibe if somebody's like wanting true feedback collaboration versus like you're just a vessel for an idea. And I try not to have an ego about it either way, because it's like either way I'm part of the process, and my job is to just do as good of a job as I can, and it doesn't matter if that's me singing a singular note unison for an entire song, or if it's me like watercoloring every crazy idea I have over somebody's track. You know, I just think it's like important to listen and vibe check.
I was stoked. Sara came in and recorded a bunch of keys and stuff on a Gambler's Kinks cover, which she had the hardest job of the whole song. I think there was a lot of
that
stuff.
was a weird song. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, because it was like there's like measures of two. There were like weird counts in certain things or something. Yeah.
We did a cover of it was Father Christmas. Father Christmas, give us your money. Yeah, but Sara had the and then it kind of went for like the whole song.
And I did that glockenspiel thing, or I was like playing like a really fast like.
Oh yeah.
Thing.
I think I have video somewhere of that. Okay, so, well, what you were saying kind of ties into what I was asking next. So when an artist chooses somebody to like an auxiliary player for a long tour, how much of that decision do you think is based on your skill versus the hang? Can I sit in a metal tube with this person for 6 weeks without wanting to lose my mind?
I mean, I think I don't know, like, cause I haven't necessarily been like that person, you know, but I think, for me, it's important for me to know that both are important to whoever I'm working for.
Yeah.
Like it's important to me, especially as like a female musician, to be seen for my skill, and that I'm not just, oh, we want to get a woman on stage or something like that. It's important that they're asking me because they think that I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
And so I would hope that like that is a huge motivator for everything that I do is just showing that I'm capable and showing what I've worked my whole life to be good at, you know? And so I think there's that, but I also really put a lot of value in being like flexible and easy to work with. Collaborative. I don't, just in general, I don't like drama or stress or tension or anything like that. and like you're in like touring is like a potential powder keg, so like I certainly don't want to be that person,
for sure,
for my own sake, for my own quality of life. Like it's just exhausting to me. So yeah, I would like to think it's like 70-30. I hope that I'm getting asked because 70%, they think that 70% like I am capable and I will do a good job, and that they can trust that. And that they also know that, like, in addition to that, I'm also a really fun hang.
Yeah.
Don't you think, though, that both of those things are part of the job?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think I think so music is like, if you really boiled it down, it's communication. Like, even if you're not talking, you're playing and you're exchanging, and it's all based on your ability to listen and read the other person, and that requires you to be present and not have an ego, and like know that you're a team. And like, if you can't have that mentality with your bandmates, then touring will suck. Like, that's just, I don't see it. I don't see how it could. I mean, I know that it can go many other ways, and you can, hate who you're touring with or whatever and still make it work. But like, but yeah, that's my sort of pillar of that aspect of it.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I have a pretty good ability to kind of foresee how something is going to be, before accepting and committing to something.
You can also, but like, that's kind of liberating too, because like, I've known that I'm not going to get along with somebody, and then it just helps me be like, all right, I've got my like little bubble, and you're not going to ruin my life.
Yeah. There's been a couple of things that I've done where I've been like, I'm just going to do this because I really need to, and for money, or whatever. But
I mean, the paycheck does make many uncomfortable situations more comfortable.
Way better. Yeah. So what were some of the like some high points from doing some of that stuff? Is there any particular place that you got to go, or a show that you got to play, like a bill you got to play with somebody that you never thought you would?
For sure. My first touring gig with Golden Dawn was like a 5-week tour in Europe. It was like the most international travel I'd ever done. Played some of the, like, at that point, those were like the biggest shows I'd ever played.
I'm pretty sure they played some pretty interesting venues.
Oh, yeah. Crazy stories. I mean, like, we played like the German Burning Man, basically.
Yeah.
Like, just really, and they're also, if you're not familiar with that band, they're like kind of a wild live experience anyway. There were like world music. There were 11 of us. It was a huge band.
Makeup,
costumes, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So like, that was my first real foray into it, and it also like lit up my life, because I was like, oh my god, traveling and playing music is my favorite thing on the planet. Like, I love experiencing new cultures and places and people and all that kind of stuff. I got to go to China twice with Zella Day, which was really crazy and special, and a part of the world I never thought I'd see, truthfully.
How did you get connected with Zella Day?
It was just like mutual friends, just like referring me, essentially.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And she had just moved to Austin and needed to connect with Austin musicians. And so it was like that. And then we put together, it was me and this other Austin artist named Emsky, who's a really great drummer.
Yeah.
So we kind of toured as a trio, the three of us, which was really great. What was
China like?
China was crazy. The most like wild, like you don't realize like how, for one, you're like, you feel kind of insane because you're 15 hours like displaced.
Yeah.
And I wasn't over there to feel normal. Like, I wasn't over there long enough to feel normal with the time change.
Yeah.
So I felt kind of wacky the whole time, but I mean, like, when you're like walking, like signage, like, you don't think about how much like just wildly different it is, because like nothing looks familiar, you know, it's just like all really different. But the shows were great. Like, people were so excited. She has a huge following over there. Like, I love like food, just all kinds of food. And I got to eat like all kinds of stuff that like, it was totally different. Definitely like the just like craziest travel experience. I had a lot of really great like kind of crazy experiences with her too. She has a huge following, and we got to open for Lana Del Rey a couple times, which was like, I'd never played for 16,000 people before. It's like, and it's weird because you're like, you kind of, your brain, like for me, I was like, this isn't real. Like, I looked up and was like, that's not real. And you kind of like disassociate in a way.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Yeah. So, it was great.
I've had the disassociate sort of thing where you're just kind of like,
I kind of allowed myself to look up one time to like, I was like, I'm going to take it all in, and did it. And then I was like, I got to really focus on my job.
Now I got to look back down.
Yeah.
I had some of those with playing with Band of Horses a couple times where it's just like, oh my God. And you can hear a pin drop at certain points, and like,
I think
when
though,
you're
like
the only thing happening, where there are those moments where you're the only instrument happening on stage, and you're just like, you know.
I think also though, and I'm curious if you feel it, but like I wonder how differently I would have felt in that situation if it had been my music. Like if like I think that I was sort of able to like be in that situation. It was like I was super excited and like cared about what I was doing, but I also was like, I'm here to do a job.
Yeah.
Whereas like I think if I had to be the front person in that situation, I would probably have been like half losing my hair or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot to carry for sure. Yeah.
So this was the next one. Always have to ask, what were some of the worst experiences that you've had on the road? And it doesn't need to be any whatever. You can say whatever you want. But
My favorite tour story. This was the worst, probably 24 to 48 hours I've ever had. Oh, maybe not. It was pretty bad. But so it was on the first tour with Golden Dawn. So it was my first real tour. I didn't really know what I was doing. We were in Europe. It was like the most in Europe I had ever been. I was also like younger, still partying quite a bit. So not as on top of myself as I could have been. Anyways, so within like the same 48 hours, I left my entire luggage that had all my costume in Austria, and didn't realize it until we were like on the ferry to the UK or like doing something, like it was long gone. I had contracted bed bugs at the hostel we stayed in.
Yes.
I have super inflammatory reactive skin, and so I like woke up and I was just like had huge like red sores on me. Thankfully I was the only one that got in the group, but then proceeded to have an allergic reaction to the bug bites, so they got just like more and more inflamed. We got to the gig in London that we were going to play. It was a taping, so I'm like on film looking like this, like I'm covered in bubbles, and realized that I had left all my costumes, so I didn't have anything to really cover myself up. Also was playing vibraphone on this tour, and opened my vibraphone case, and the mallets had broken in half. Had no time to get to a music shop to get new ones. So I literally had the bartender give me the long metal spoons, like a bartender spoon kind of thing. Duct taped my mallets back together, pulled some costuming. Oh, I also got like really kind of car sick driving around in London. So basically it was like I'm like in this recording just like looking like the worst. Like I've just like been through some kind of chaos. Yeah. Playing duct taped mallets, like just like holding on for dear life.
But you made it happen.
But I made it happen, and we played the show, and the rest of the tour was like, it was crazy, but it was like the best kind of crazy. And those guys are all like family to me now, so.
I had the bed bugs happen.
Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah. In Europe, whenever you're touring, especially like, I feel, did you guys stay at a lot of hostels and like venues and stuff?
We didn't stay at a ton of them, but this one that we stayed at was in, it was in Dover. And I remember I reached down and pet this cat that was like in the lobby, and I remember touching the cat and feeling it covered in scabs. And so I was like, this is like a bad sign.
Yeah. I got eaten up by something in Russia in this like hostel, and I just remember like the next day just like all over and just being like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Just Russian bed bugs.
Well, and I just like kind of going back and forth between different pharmaceutical companies, like, all in different countries. And like, I think the fourth one I got to, the French pharmacist was like, you're allergic to everything that people are giving you. Because like the cream that I was putting on was just making it worse. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, somebody, please.
That's insane.
Yeah, that was probably that was like the toughest. I got so mad I threw my luggage over the turnstile at a ferry because I couldn't get it through. And I just like hit that moment where I was like, I'm going to pop. And I just lifted my luggage and it was like, like, and everybody in the band was like, oh shit, she snapped.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along. Let's see here. What is your live setup usually for shows? Have you stripped it down over the years? Or are you committed to the tools that you were used to having? Like,
I changed it up.
Layers.
I think with Hibiscus, I have a Prophet Rev 2. That album, I did a lot of synth stuff, so I was playing synths live a lot more. Mm-hmm. This record is very piano based, so I just got it's a JV 1010, which is like kind of very early 2000s like little unit that I run into a weighted MIDI controller. Mm-hmm. And so I don't have to use a computer for sounds or whatever. And I've been using that more because it's like I need the weighted action of a piano for this stuff. And the JV 1010 has like kind of cool, weird affected piano sounds and like mellotron and stuff. And
so like the weighted MIDI controller, it's like the weighted keyboard.
It feels like a real piano. Yeah. And then I also have a SP404, which is a sample pad that I use to trigger some like textural stuff from recordings. Like any little weird drone synth thing that I have in there, I think adds a lot live. I really hate dead silence between songs, so I've been using that a lot to like trigger like a vocal loop to just have something playing in between songs. And I do a lot of like weird vocal layering and stuff, so sometimes I'll hit that for things. I've also with this version of the band, I have a violin player. And she covers a lot of like the textural stuff that I do with my voice on recordings, and she live loops, which is really fun and super cool.
That's really cool.
So right now, this version of the band is violin, guitar, bass, drums, and then me on primarily piano and sample pad.
Is there how much preparations goes into getting ready for something like a show with setting up patches and all that stuff?
Not a ton. I mean, right now I am a little experimental. I run my vocals through my 404 and like kick on and off timed delays and stuff
That's awesome.
For effect.
Do you do that with a pedal?
I do it with my hand because
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I didn't think that a pedal was an option, but now that you said that, I'm gonna think about it some more. But yeah, I've just been doing it with my hands, like, so I'd say like I spend like a good portion of time making sure that like I'm on top of my stuff.
Yeah.
But like all the musicians I work with, there are just like insane, and we do like one run through and usually have a good. Have like one decent rehearsal. We're all of the, I think probably because we're all working musicians, it's very much like rehearsal is not where you learn the song, which is something when you're young that you don't necessarily think about. But so everybody does their homework. You come into rehearsal ready to play the song, the set, and that's the dynamic we have. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Jim Eno's project Traction?
Sure.
And what that was all about?
Yeah, so Jim, I got to record on the Spoon album, and I've just like sort of like by way of my friend Walker, like ended up on his radar, and he's been a great mentor for me. He started Project Traction. It's it's a nonprofit that is designed to get more like women and like gender expansive people in engineering and production. There's not a lot of that presence. It's very male dominated, or it has historically been. And he basically was like, I know all these like talented people that should be doing this. I know that like for me, I didn't think I had the skill set to be a producer, which is hilarious because if you listen to like an interview with Rick Rubin, the first thing he says that he knows nothing about anything, you know, and it's true.
It's true. I don't
it's
think
true.
he knows anything.
I don't need to think he does either. So yeah, I was in the first wave of people Jim asked to do that, and it was great. It sort of like, I think doing it made me realize that I could do it. And then I got way more into production for myself too, of like, oh, I can have opinions about these things, and I know I have the vocabulary. I like just didn't think that I did.
Yeah.
And then when I started talking about it with him, or like in the context of the session and stuff, I was like, oh, I actually do know what a lot of this stuff means, and I actually care about it. Turns out.
You can figure it out.
Yeah.
Did you learn about like some of the like actual tactile ways of using some of the gear and all that stuff, or
I would say like Jim was really great with navigating the like more interpersonal stuff between producer and artist, of like being able to be like, hey, like I know that this is what you would do if this is your song, but this isn't your song type of thing, which I feel like was, you know, like that was huge, because like you have to be able to step back and be like, okay, like I am still working for somebody else. I think some producers can be like more heavy-handed and be like, no, this is how we're gonna go.
Yeah.
But like ultimately being able to sort of be a little bit more objective.
Yeah, and I think maybe thinking about the band that you're working with and making them sound like the best version of themselves rather than what you would want. You know, this is the way I would do this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how should they do it?
I think also, I mean, Jim is like he's a drummer. And I think producers that are drummers think about songs and song structure a little differently.
Stuart Sykes.
Yeah. It's like, it was interesting to see somebody that produces with a different principal instrument, how they come at it. And like the way that their brain goes versus like, I'm like such a chord, like I'm like, oh, let's look at the chord structure first and stuff. And Jim's like, I think we should do this kind of like he was beat focused and like rhythm focused. And I think that was cool.
Yeah, you can hear that in like all of Spoon's stuff.
Yeah, that's such an interesting drummer.
Yeah, and
great.
The space thing too.
Oh, 100%.
Let's see. So what does the process look like when you're working on other material? When you go in to play on somebody else's record or, you know, record some other stuff, is it mainly coming up with your own parts on your own, or is it, you know, I think we kind of covered this before, but I mean, I will go in. I've gone into recording sessions where they have like sheet music they want me to read and do it that way. And then I go in and they're like, so we just wanted to see what you would do. You know, like so I've kind of done both. What was your most challenging project, you would think?
Most challenging?
Because I know you did that, like a bunch of string arranging and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the arranging stuff, I do like orchestral arrangements for people, which I also kind of stumbled into, but I really love. That stuff is like, a lot of that is more like pre-production almost, because I'm like doing it before. By the time we're in the session, it's like, it's all written out and organized, and it's just like handing it to classical players. I think most challenging, I don't know. I mean, vocal stuff, sometimes sometimes your voice just doesn't do what you want it to do, or I think I've had more challenging sessions with my own stuff than it for other people. Like I've had days where like I go in to like do a lead vocal on one of my songs, and it's just like I just feel like I'm not selling it, and I can't figure out why.
Oh yeah.
Or I realize that I hate my melody, like as I'm recording it, where I'm like, actually, I just had this with a song where I was singing it and I was like, I hate this. I don't want to, I can't sell this because I don't believe what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah.
But for other people, I feel like it's like that compartmentalizing thing. I can kind of switch my mode and it's more about accomplishing a job. But I've definitely had some sessions that were trickier, or I did a session where I was playing with a string quartet. We were playing sheet music. There was no conductor, and there was a lot of like metric modulation and like tempo changes. And so like I'm in a room where I can't see who I'm playing with, and we're having to like navigate tempo changes without a click and fermatas and like things where like you normally would be looking at a conductor and be like, tell me when to go. You know, I just like that kind of stuff. Logistical things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds,
we got it done.
Yeah, that sounds.
It never came out,
insane. But have any of these studio sessions led to touring work?
Yeah. Maybe. Actually, I don't know.
Or like shows or something?
Maybe shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that any of my touring work was because of a session, but I think that having a resume, like having documented, like proof that I can play or sing in a recording has certainly helped, like, pitch myself to people. Because if they're like, what do you do? And then I can just send them a Spotify playlist of like all the records I've worked on or something, you know?
Well, kind of reaching towards the end here.
Thank you guys for listening to all my...
Thank you for being here.
Of course, thanks.
Oh, Cash, you're the best. Let's see. So you've secured some grants from Sonic Guild and the Austin Live Music Fund. Most independent musicians don't even really know that these exist, or they find the paperwork
taxing
because I feel like they do that on purpose. They want tough. You to, like I just was looking at the new one.
I mean, I honestly, the first time I applied for the grant, that was the thing that I emailed them my unsolicited feedback, but I was like, you guys is like, this is not equitable. I mean, I have a college degree. I'm very privileged in that way, but like, and I'm fairly technologically savvy. I wouldn't say that every musician in Austin has either of those things or that ability. You know, it's a lot to navigate for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say what your advice is to artists who feel like applying for grants is, like they make it so confusing and so hard.
I reapplied for the first one 3 times. Like I had to do it again. The process. This last time the process was better, but.
Have you tried the new one? You have to use like they want the verbiage is weird, and like they want you to use this specific template and like. Yeah,
I mean, I would say if you're, for one, just how I look at grants. So it used to be like you would get an advance from a record label. They'd be like, "Here's $200,000. Go make a record. We'll take that money back eventually, but here you go. Pay for your life and pay for the thing you want to do." That like doesn't really happen, and that has never been my reality. I've never gotten like anything like that or a publishing deal or anything. So grants are a great way for independent artists to fund projects, and there's quite a bit of them out there. I think they're becoming more of a thing, probably because people are realizing how much of a struggle it is to like be an independent musician. So the Austin one, there's the Sonic Guild, which is like a membership-driven organization, which is great. And that one there's no real paperwork process. It's more about kind of getting on their radar and showing them what you can do.
Yeah.
The Austin Live Music Fund comes from the hotel tax.
And they want you to...
And you have to go through a lot of bureaucratic stuff because it is a city thing.
They want you to prove like how you're going to be bringing attention back to Austin as a travel destination.
That, and I think they also, this last time, it seems like they're really interested in what kind of energy you're putting into the community, which like I think just in general, and for anyone out there, I think one piece of advice I got from somebody who writes grants applications like for a living, she was like, you kind of have to figure out what they're looking for and like the niche of like, you know, what is it that they're really looking to kind of grow with this grant money.
Yeah.
And so I think with this last one I when I applied, I leaned really heavily onto all of the stuff I have put into this community through education or making sure I'm hiring musicians and that all my sessions are inclusive and that like I am working to like, you know, sort of elevate the people around me and like that kind of thing. And, you know, so I think you kind of have to figure out through all that verbiage, like what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But it has been, I mean, the only way I've put out my last record, the only way I'm putting out this record is from grants.
That's
like
why I put out the last Broken Gold record.
Yeah.
Because of that.
It's pretty great.
What is the most common romanticized myth that students or, you know, any young people have about what a music career actually looks like?
Oh man.
There's probably a bunch.
There's a bunch. I will say I think like it's funny living in the age of social media because people really they can have a conflated sense of success and like what your life actually looks like because you're only getting like the highlight reels really most of the time, I think, on social media. Some people maybe not, but like I don't know. I'd say like the most romanticized thing is, I mean, I think like, I mean, like this is just from my personal experience or something, but I got to play Austin City Limits last year, which was amazing. But I think I had people look at that and be like, oh, you're really making it. Like it was huge. That was great.
Yeah.
Great opportunity. But that is like the result of like digging my heels in for 15 years in Austin, like trying to be like, please take me seriously. Like of all of the things that I have to do just to like sustain my life.
Yeah.
So I think it's like maybe like the most romanticized thing is like what percentage of your time is actually doing the thing that you love, which is just writing music, and how much of the percentage of your life is like doing all the other things that I don't want to do but have to, including work, social media, you know, maintaining some kind of like admin stuff. Yeah, I don't have a manager or a booking agent or anything. I'm booking my own shows. I'm self-managing. I'm my own accountant. Like I'm doing all of those things. So yeah, it's like maybe the romanticized part is that like, oh, I just get to like write songs all day and
do nothing.
And do nothing.
I got to play ACL. Tons of people, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff. It was one of the worst shows that I've ever played.
Doesn't that
because
suck?
like it should have been awesome, and I'm sure for like the audience looking and watching, it probably was normal, but for me, it was the worst because it was so incredibly hot that day, and there was no cloud cover. So all of our gear was sitting on the stage, just cooking, like oven hot.
Yeah.
And I went to go and play my guitar, and it like was like singeing, and I remember feeling my shoes melting. And just doing that for 45 minutes and just sea of people, you know, and you're just like, this is, I don't think this is supposed to be happening. Humans aren't supposed to be under
honestly,
this kind of heat.
the big show, the allure of I feel like behind most big giant shows, that is the case. Like I had a friend just play Red Rocks and he was like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. You know, or like
I felt weird there.
Yeah, like it just like sometimes like the pie in the sky gig that you think should be every musician's like dream is actually like the worst gig. Like I've had more fun playing for 50 people sardine canned in the original than I have playing for thousands and thousands of people who couldn't give less of a crap about what we were doing, you know. So
Red Rocks, I like. The air was so strange and the elevation. that I remember feeling like like that weird feeling that you have when like when you get out of like salt water.
Oh,
and
yeah,
your
yeah.
body feels
You're like,
heavier. Yeah, like it felt like
Yeah.
that. And I remember going like, well, that was Red Rocks afterwards. That felt strange.
On to the next one.
Yep. Well, what's next for you? Any new projects? You got tours coming up, recording? What's up?
No tours. I'm working on. I've got a full length, almost done, of S.L. Hauser stuff. I just recorded an ambient instrumental album that I'm really excited about, and I'll probably put out next year too. Doing some strings arrangements for people. That's still kind of a ongoing thing, and like random vocal session stuff. And I'd say I think that's pretty much everything I've got like going on right now. And then teaching.
Teaching, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
ChatGPT says you're performing on July 28th at the ballroom at Spider House. Is that true?
Not the ballroom at Spider House, but I'm performing at Hole in the Wall.
On July 28th?
On July 28th. I'm doing a solo set. So it's a piano themed night, so everybody's playing
Are
piano.
you playing in the front?
Can be wrong.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hallucinating.
It's okay. They're
My-
close to each other in vicinity, so
right.
My last question, has your view of success as a musician changed since you've started? I know that mine has.
Oh, 100%. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think when I was 18, it was like, I'm not going to even graduate college because I'm going to get a record deal and then I'm going to tour the world and have my own private jet or whatever.
Yeah.
Like when you're like, or not private jet, but like I thought I was like, oh, I'll just get a record deal and then I'll do it.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think now success to me is I mean really I've met this what I define as success is that like music is my life and it's how I support myself and it's also integral to like my everyday life. There's not a day that goes by, even when days that I'm just teaching, I'm still using music.
Yeah.
And so, I certainly have goals of where I want my music to go or what I would like to do with my music career. But I think at this point, I know that so many aspects of the music industry are completely out of my control and that ultimately nothing is guaranteed and that all I can do is take on projects that like fill me up and keep writing intentionally and being present. And for me, that authenticity can only lead to abundance. And like that, and if I hold true to that, then I will be happy with whatever I end up doing. And that I'm not reliant on any outside fact. I'm not reliant on a record deal or a publishing deal or a booking agent or a manager or an opportunity or something. I'm not reliant on that for my happiness or my own definition of success because like I am making those terms for myself.
I feel like that is true enlightenment.
I read 4 Buddhist books last year.
Yeah.
I really went hard on the down the self-help rabbit hole.
Yeah. I feel like if I can pay the bills and still feel like I don't have like a real job, I think I'm like, all right, I'm doing pretty good.
Right.
All right. I wanted to see if anybody had any questions.
He's like, know my whole autobiography.
Yeah,
at
you
this
guys
point.
know everything now.
When you say you're teaching, are you doing lessons? Are you teaching a class? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm an adjunct professor at ACC.
Oh, nice.
So I teach in the Audio Technology and Industries department, which is their modern music program. I love the community college model. Having been somebody that went to arguably one of the most expensive schools in the country, I think it's really important to me that education is accessible to everybody. So I really love ACC, and I teach a music theory class there, and then I teach applied composition and piano, which is like one-on-one lessons. And then I do freelance teaching where I teach outside, like families. I have like a handful of families that I work for where I just like, go over and teach the kids I do a little bit of the rock band thing with like a couple brothers, you know, like anything like that. But yeah,
That's awesome.
thanks.
Wow.
fun.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
As an artist and an educator,
Uh-huh.
given the nature of all of the challenges that we talked about earlier, right? Given the changes in the industry,
Uh-huh.
the challenges for the next generation
Mm-hmm.
of musicians, where do you think they can feel hopeful as they grow in their connection to music? Where's the hope? Right? It's easy to say. It's tough to tour.
Yeah.
There's no streaming.
Right. Yeah. And I definitely don't want. I check myself a lot because like I don't want to be that pessimistic older musician that's like, oh, you know, it just everything sucks, blah, you know, whatever. I think that like what I try to really instill with a lot of my students is that the joy is the process. The end result, even if it's the song is the end result. The joy is the writing, right? And so I think that there is a lot of things in this world that can rob you of hope in any job or industry, and that and this is going to come back to the Buddhist stuff I read, and that's kind of unavoidable, you know. But what you can control is the hope and joy you get out of the process, and that is the 10,000 hours, and that's getting in a sweaty room with your friends and just seeing what happens, and you know, and like, and putting a song out in the world and like seeing what it does, you know. And so I think that I think we live in like a really quantitative time as artists and creatives in general with social media, where it's like everything is numbers driven and stuff. And my hope for the next generation is that they find a way to see that that's not the carrot, like that is false, and that's not, you know, it shouldn't be the goal. And I think that if they can, I think they are already separating from that naturally because it's horrible. But but I think yeah, like find the joy in the process. That's the winner.
Awesome.
Of course.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was awesome. Woo! All right.
Sick. Thank you guys.
Yeah.